let's see what's going on the X Twitter now. It has finally been now once again called X now, though I'm still going to call it X Twitter because, well, XCOM would definitely get a lot of lawsuits going on. So let's see what's trending today. Oh, good.
Pretty dumb they have to do that, but you know there's these whiny bitches that'll fucking try to say something.
Assassin's Creed Shadows is the latest game to come out of Ubisoft, the pro-physical company that has gotten people quite upset. Is it because of the fact that the Gold Edition is an actual ripoff? Is it because the game is going to be pushing for the $70 release? Is it because the game may or may not be forcing you to play online? Or is it because the characters in the game are not exactly accurate to history? If you said anything except the last one, you're wrong.
Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong. You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong.
Of all the things to get pissed off at Ubisoft for, it's historical inaccuracy. Are you fucking kidding? What has ever stopped people from playing a game, let alone an Assassin's Creed game, of historical accuracy? Hell, people get voiced off at voice actors for not having the correct ethnicity for fictional characters. Whether it be the Aaron Fitzgerald controversy, or even the Phil Lamar controversy, except one is actually dumb and one is very much unfortunate despite actually being a professional voice actor. Which one you want to claim as the professional one, that's on you. Let it be known that Heihachi of Tekken was voiced by a black man in Soul Calibur 2, Kevin Michael Richardson. A very professional voice actor, nobody complained. Hell, one of his taunts literally has him laughing like a monkey. Whether you think that's fucking racist or not, you're fucking stupid if you think it's anything but. How do I feel about Assassin's Creed? I honestly do not give a fuck. Oh, well, if you don't care, why are you making a video on it? First of all, if nobody cared about anything, there would hardly be any rants on YouTube to watch. Even if some are made with honest thoughts in mind or just trying to influence people. Which, I'm gonna assume that some influencer on YouTube probably called this racist, and now everyone else and their fucking mother is claiming that this is racist.
You're racist for thinking that I'm racist.
Of all the things that Ubisoft has done, I think this is one of the most tame things that they've done. I mean, hell, people got mad at them, or whatever controversy, if you want to call it, back when Far Cry fucking 3 was new, with them going all sexual and shit. How fucking times have changed. The online-only debacle for an Assassin's Creed game set in Japan, as cool as it is, even though you literally have games like Tenchu, Sekiro, and if you even want to be all lame about it, Senran Kagura. I'd rather just play the games I actually like that are set in Japan compared to the slop that is Assassin's Creed. Hell, I'd rather play something like Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah, I know it's made by Sucker Punch. I know there was a whole controversy with a Western developer making a Japanese game. Well, it doesn't stop people from sucking the dick of From Software, who made a game that's kind of set in Western land, but is made by a Japanese company. So is Dark Souls an action RPG or a Japanese RPG? You don't know, I don't know, nobody knows. Not even Miyazaki knows. He's probably just waiting for the next Cormac McCarthy novel to be coming out. I mean, he is a big fan of his works, you know. Minimalism and all that shit. But I'm not going to turn this into a From Software rant. Not yet, anyway. I just have to wonder, where have people gone so down south, like it's that really shitty Disney movie that even Disney themselves wants to forget, all because of two characters in the game that may or may not be historically accurate. God, if people play something like Vigilante, they'd be crying that it's not even correct despite being a disco game that also has futuristic elements and shit. Like, is this really the big outcry of an Assassin's Creed game? Really? I'm just bewildered by such things that people get this pissy over fictional works. It's like how people reacted to Tropic Thunder when they found out that there was a blackface moment in the film. It's just ridiculous. I know people don't really like the movie, but it's just amazing to me how people are quick to jump the gun. And they want to get mad at me for not even playing the game and yet calling racism or some shit. Even Synthetic Man, a channel that I actually like, has actually made a video talking about the game, and yet he barely mentioned the fact that the game may or may not have online-only play, or even the price tag. It's just 10 minutes, more or less, of him being mad at the game because ESG, whatever the hell that means, I'm not even sure. I'm not going to look it up. I don't like using the term woke, honestly. I don't even know what the hell that is. All I know is that I don't want this bullshit, pencil-pushing propaganda bullshit on my face. But even the interaction between Leia and Lando from Star Wars felt natural. It's okay for such interactions to be natural, but when there's an agenda that's being pushed into people's faces, kind of like with low-key what Marvel's Spider-Man 2 did, it goes from annoying to disgruntled. These games are supposed to be an escape from fantasy, and yet they want to try to push this bullshit into people's faces, and I just don't think that's right. Even playing through Neo 2 of all games, a game I just have no real interest in, but finishing it for reasons that I don't feel like talking about, I don't give a shit that the main character of the first game is an Irishman who's set in London or some shit, or whatever the hell people came up with. It's a fucking Souls-like with Diablo looting and designed to go completely against the genre itself, but I'm going to finish it, damn it, because if I didn't, then I can't crap on it because I didn't finish it. Or that I'd be told to finish it despite having complaints that actually makes sense. And yet, it's still a game that's on an Xbox or Switch. A game that was basically timed exclusive on PS4. But remember, guys, my exclusives. And the game's not even out yet. It's not going to be out for a while. Not until November, actually. That's almost the end of the year. Not that I'm even trying to defend them, by the way, because I know that they have made games that, while I do like, I can understand why people be mad at them for having things like microtransactions that aren't necessarily impactful, but still because you bought the game, they're going to do it anyway. Or even having design choices, whether it be character or gameplay aesthetics, are not my thing. That's why I consider games like Far Cry 5, Watch Dogs 2, and Ghost Recon Wildlands to be the last games that are decently designed by Ubisoft. I would put Far Cry New Dawn on there, even though there are designs that are better than 5. But the fact that these are the main characters, so to speak, kind of ruins the game for me in the long run. I'm going to digress on that before I get into trouble. And the boar is ridiculously overpowered to the point of not even really being that fun. I certainly hope that it is at least not online only, though knowing Ubisoft, they'll probably pull a rug under everyone. I just want to be able to pay for the game that I have interest in, even if it is a license to play the game, without having to worry about constant internet connection required. You people seriously need to look back at how you felt about Diablo 3 on PC of all things, and realize that was a shitty idea to begin with. And now on to the second part of this, and I could actually transition into the next point that I want to make regarding the second topic of this rant, and that's this tweet I saw a little while ago on the X-Twitter of someone basically talking about that there's going to be 11 Assassin's Creed games and all the other fun shit, which also intertwines into the second part of this rant, as I just said that. Resident Evil 1 is being remade by Capcom again. And yet people want to be mad at Ubisoft for going on about how there's going to be 11 games upcoming and that they're lacking innovation. Are you fucking kidding me? First of all, even if it is just a rumor, the fact that people will legitimately suck on the nuts of nostalgia and have the gall to call other people nostalgia bound is insanely hypocritical. You damn well know that if there were 11 games lined up in something like Mario, or Bayonetta, or Zelda, or Pokemon, or any game that you might like, and yes, even Dark Souls, you would be all over that shit like a giantess feet on a sunny day. all this crap about how people cry that there's not enough innovative games out today, but then they get mad at Ubisoft for potentially having 11 Assassin's Creed games planned, yet people still buy into all this yearly releases of games like Pokemon and sports games, which wouldn't necessarily be a problem, first of all, if the quality kept going up each year instead of the opposite, but what do I know? And the fact that people are legitimately excited, once again, that Capcom is remaking Resident Evil 1, when they've already done a remake of that. And yes, I know that Resident Evil back in '98 was a big milestone compared to what was already remade in Resident Evil 1, and then remastering the remake of the original game for modern systems and all that fun shit. Well, they technically already did that with the Wii, just having it being on one disc and actually having extra control options that for some reason are not in the remaster, but whatever. And that they actually have 16:9 gameplay with the HD remaster, but whatever. I guess it's better than getting your precious RE5 remake that Jacksepticeye says that hasn't aged well because you're shooting Africans in Africa. Well, would you rather be shooting Mexicans in Spain or Spanish people in Mexico? I don't know. Sounds pretty racist to me, but I guess it's okay because you're gunning down white men, not black men. If you want to get on Ubisoft for lacking on new ideas, innovation, and taking risks, why do people want constant remakes and remasters of games you literally played as a kid? What about games like Klonoa? That game series will probably be remade until the end of time, and yet there's like, what, 2 games that came out for it? Maybe 3? Most of them being spin-offs that may or may not have anything to do with the original games. And yet there was already a remake of it on the Wii, which basically Sonic-ized as far as voice acting goes, and then that new remaster or whatever of the 2 games. It's like, really? You're gonna get mad at Ubisoft for that, but you're gonna give Namco a pass for basically doing the same shit again? Really? And even when something is actually remade decently, like Medieval, people crap on it because it's poorly aged. Little bro doesn't realize you can actually play the original if you play far enough into it. Sucks you can't use it by a cheat code, even though there's literally a trophy that does exactly that, but I guess Crash and Spyro are going to be the best games ever. Well, people are going to eat this up, no doubt, even though I have a pretty good feeling as to what's going to happen. And I could be wrong in this, but I'm going to go to put my own game theory TM into work now that the license has basically gone into public domain, since the dude whose content never even cared for because he made some of the most autistic theories of all time, by the way. Capcom might remake Resident Evil 1, but they're going to do the same bullshit that they did with the original, where you get to play as Chris and Jill while still having characters that you don't see in other scenarios. It was like this even with the remake that Capcom did with the version that was on GameCube and the Wii. Yeah. For people complaining about exclusives, by the way, remember that Resident Evil was basically a GameCube exclusive, and nobody complained. You can't even say that about Resident Evil, the original at least, since the Saturn version had the ever-so-exclusive battle mode, and that the PC version had extra weapons you can unlock, and actually made unlocking the Infinite Rocket Launcher even harder, because you have to beat the game without saving once. So I guess that's okay because it's multi-platform, even though the content versions are completely different between them. But then let's not forget that the PlayStation version had 2 revisions like it's Street Fighter 2 or some gay shit, with the second revision having some of the worst soundtrack rearrangements of all time. Anyway, Capcom's gonna have you either play as Chris, but you don't find Barry at all, or that you play as Jill, but you don't find Rebecca. Even though it's been stated in the Resident Evil 5 official Resident Evil timeline that all 5 members of STARS, Chris, Jill, Rebecca, Barry, and whoever the 5th one was, I honestly forget, they all fucking lived. But funny enough, even in the remake of Resident Evil that was GameCube exclusive until the Wii came out, but was still technically Nintendo exclusive, they kind of repeat the same shit that would make Resident Evil completely invalidated as far as story goes. So the only way that Capcom will be able to fix this is to have a thing we can switch between Chris and Jill at any point, making it like Resident Evil 5, which people hated because you were gunning down Africans in Africa, and that the gameplay didn't hold up nearly as good as Resident Evil 4. Even though I'm going to say this again, like I did in one of my recent streams. Whether you like Resident Evil 5 or not, it is technically an improved version of Resident Evil 4. And I'm going to throw this example like I did, again, like in my live stream. One of the big selling points of Resident Evil 4 is that you could outwit the AI in many ways. One of such things is that you could kick down the ladder, which allows you to get some easy kills. And the first time you actually get to use this mechanic is in, funny enough, one of the most annoying parts of the game is where you're ambushed by a bunch of zombies. And guess what? The old tricks don't work anymore, because in Resident Evil 5, the enemies, they can jump now. So Capcom basically teaches you that you can't rely on old tricks anymore. But wait a minute, guys. That's not taking new ideas, innovation, and taking risks. That's Capcom doing you dirty. I'm not even a fan of Resident Evil 5 personally. I think the combat in that game is just as shitty as Resident Evil 4. But the fact that you have a level replay option, unlike Resident Evil 4, and they can actually make Sheva nowhere near as useless as Ashley, and despite Sheva and Josh being very competent characters written in the setting that Resident Evil 5 has been, even Josh being gameplay-wise just as annoying as Ashley in Resident Evil 4, is nowhere near as grueling in that, since it's just for one mission and it's not even that long. But what do I know? And also, let's be honest, have Capcom remade Resident Evil 5 today, even if that's what people got what they wanted, they would fucking ruin it. Like, do people not realize that even modern day Capcom has basically injected that bullshit into their other games, especially with Street Fighter? Just look at the character designs and personalities in Street Fighter 6, and you tell me if they're going to keep it as clean as they did. With the likes of Dead Rising, or even Resident Evil 5. But remember though, Ubisoft's the ones that lacking in innovation, new ideas, and taking risks. Let's just remake the same game again, but with fancier graphics. This is why Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta is going to suck. And I don't want to fucking talk about that game. Capcom remaking Resident Evil 1 again is going to be stupid, assuming that it's just a rumor and not some red herring to distract us from the real deal. And that Assassin's Creed is gone woke some way, somehow. I don't know. I don't care. Despite the game having much bigger issues that may or may not be fixed, but unfortunately, the damage has already been done by people who can't even fucking think for themselves and just think on how much damaging the product can be, whether you can actually play it or not. But remember, guys, the crew was lost on gamers, so we have to feel bad for Ubisoft. That is until the Fire Nation attacks once again. I'm done with this rant. I don't have much else to say about this. Now, if you excuse me, I'm gonna go play a James Bond video game where we get to beat up Chinese people, because that's historically accurate. Well, bye.